A CEO I know had two finalists for a senior role. Both could do the job, same caliber, similar track records. He picked the one who asked him questions he didn't know the answer to, and when he described his vision, this person pushed back and suggested something different. That's what tipped it. He didn't need someone who could execute, he needed someone who would think. That story gets at something most job descriptions completely miss. When a business owner looks for a senior executive, they're not really hiring for a function. They're trying to solve a much harder problem. How do I stop carrying all the key decisions alone? Not delegate tasks, actually share the weight of uncertainty. Find someone who'll think about this business like it's their own. But people like that are rare. Most candidates, even really good ones, show up in one of two modes. There's the executor, solid, reliable, handles their lane, but leaves the strategic weight upstairs. Then there's the careerist, driven, effective, but only as long as the company's direction matches their personal trajectory. Both are useful. Neither one actually lightens the load. The third type, what I'd call the co author, is something different entirely, and owners have learned to spot them not from resumes or polished interview answers, but from something much subtler. It shows up in three ways. First, how someone talks about their own track record. A co author doesn't build a narrative where every decision was brilliant. They talk about mistakes calmly. They walk you through the logic behind choices that didn't work and what they took away. That takes real inner stability. Only someone who's already accepted that responsibility includes the right to be wrong can own a failure without falling apart or getting defensive. Second, how they respond to a messy situation. When an owner describes a problem with no obvious solution, some candidates immediately start asking clarifying questions, looking for missing data, trying to find the edges of the frame. That's solid analytical thinking, but it signals someone who's used to operating inside a structure someone else has built. The co author type does something different. They start thinking out loud, floating hypotheses, weighing risks. They're comfortable making moves before the picture is complete. Third, the questions they ask. What are the KPIs? What's the reporting structure? That's someone mapping their box. But what's the main thing holding back growth right now? Or what decision have you been putting off? Those reveal someone trying to see the business whole, looking for where they can matter beyond whatever their title says. Picture this. The owner says, "We're growing 30% a year, but operations can't keep up. The team is burning out. Quality is slipping." The executor, "Got it. Which processes should I fix?" The careerist, "Interesting. What's the budget? How will you evaluate my performance?" The co author, "I've seen this before. Usually it means you have to choose. Slow down and strengthen the foundation, or keep growing and accept it's going to hurt for a while." Have you thought about which direction feels right because they need completely different people in this seat? None of those answers is wrong, but the positioning is everything. The first waits for a task, the second negotiates terms, the third sits down and starts thinking alongside you. There's a trap on both sides of this, though. On the candidate side, it's mimicry. Some people want the co author position so badly that they start guessing what the owner wants to hear, agreeing with everything, smoothing over any tension. One tech founder nailed it. "I know I want a partner, but when someone agrees with everything I say, I don't feel like I can lean on them." Partnership means shared goals with independent thinking, loyalty to the work, not blind devotion to a person. On the owner's side, the trap is deeper. Not everyone who says, "I need a partner," is actually ready to share. Two red flags worth paying attention to. First, if the conversation is heavy on "you'll be responsible for," but light on "you'll decide," that's not partnership, that's a trap. Responsibility without authority always ends badly. And second, if you ask, "What happened with the last person in this role?" And you get vague answers like, "They couldn't handle it," or "We just didn't click." That's a pattern the owner hasn't recognized, and it will repeat with you. Say you do get the offer, you're in the co author seat. Now comes the harder part, keeping it. The biggest mistake is waiting to be given authority. A co author doesn't ask for permission. They see a problem, form a view, and come to the owner with, "Here's how I see it, here's what I do, here are the risks." Then Tencent's owner might agree, push back, or reject it entirely. But that kind of conversation reinforces the partnership dynamic every single time. The second mistake is avoiding conflict to keep the peace. A former Y Combinator partner said he realized too late that the rift with his co founder was completely preventable. They'd stopped spending time together exactly because they were dodging the hard conversations. If you sense something's off and stay quiet, you're already losing the co author position. Silence isn't diplomacy, it's slow erosion. There's a case from the tech world that ties all of this together. In 2025, Meta launched the most aggressive hiring push in tech history. Zuckerberg personally reached out to top OpenAI researchers, packages up to $300 million over 4 years, signing bonuses of $100 million. And it worked. At least 10 key researchers moved over, including people behind GPT-4. Sam Altman called it distasteful. He said, "Missionaries beat mercenaries." Great line. Didn't stop the departures, but the more telling part is what happened next. Some researchers turned Meta down, and there's a parallel trend that's hard to ignore. People are 8 times more likely to leave OpenAI for Anthropic than the other way around. Anthropic doesn't pay the most, doesn't waive 9 figure bonuses, but they keep winning a certain type of person. What type? The ones for whom authorship matters more than compensation. At Anthropic, researchers are closer to decisions, there's less bureaucracy, a stronger sense that your work directly shapes the outcome. For someone who's tasted co authorship, real influence over what gets built, moving to a structure where you become an expensive resource, no matter how well compensated, feels like a demotion. This isn't about money not working. Meta proved it works. It's about a category of people for whom there's a currency you can't print, the chance to bear responsibility for something real. And that's exactly what the co author position is, not a title, not a compensation package, not a set of KPEs. It's the opportunity to build something with someone who risks alongside you. When both sides are ready for that, what starts is worth the search. That's it for today. I'm Mike Toczynski, and I really appreciate you spending these minutes with me. If this episode gave you something to think about, share it with someone who might need to hear it. A friend going through a career shift, a founder looking for their number two, anyone navigating that space between working for someone and building with them. And if you haven't yet, subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. I've got some good ones in the works. Until next time, take care.